Sri Lanka, where we operate basically in a police state, we live under a curfew. And we have done now, this is day 23. And everything that, like life as we knew it, has stopped and changed dramatically. The curfew is absolute, and basically if you haven't got a written note from the police for a reason for being out, you get arrested.
Wow.
That simple. Very first noticing the first food shortages and stuff because they banned all imports and exports of food from the country. However, on the bright side, we haven't started roasting peacocks. We've got plenty of bananas. Green mangoes are in season right now, and there's loads of leaves and stuff that we can pull up from our garden and what have you. Sri Lanka is nowhere near as badly off as India or places like that, where they've got massive, massive issues at a social level around the basic necessity of things like food. Now, since November and the start of Corona, things have changed dramatically in the world. Now, this little video clip was taken a few years back from the bridge of the boat we were on crossing the Drake Passage, going through a double strength hurricane. And quite simply, this is a little bit what the coronavirus looks like to most people, where everywhere you turn, things have changed dramatically. Now, it's pretty severe. When I say it's pretty severe, everything that we know that's happening around us right now, it's bigger than the 2008 GFC. It's harsher than 9/11, which changed the world as we know it and brought in a new job called security. There's every chance that unless it's brought into some sort of control, we're going to see infection rates that will result in deaths that could be, and it probably won't be as bad as World War II, where 3% of the population died. It probably won't be as bad as the HIV epidemic, which has killed 32 million people and left 75 million infected, or the Spanish flu, which killed 50 million. However, it's the largest thing we've seen since all of those major catastrophes have hit the world. And the problem with that is that everything that we know and that was familiar is not familiar, and what we knew is no longer the same. And as we look around us, whether we look sideways, forwards, or backwards, the foundation of our belief systems and structures has actually shifted. Now, it doesn't matter whether you are in the health and medical and science sector. It doesn't matter whether you're in politics or political leadership and philosophy. It doesn't matter whether you're in business, you have a job, your personal and household income has changed and shifted. Your physical fitness, your mental health, your socialization, and the freedoms that you used to enjoy only 4 months ago no longer exist. The arts and entertainment industry is decimated. Travel, accommodation, tourism, education, training, finance, investment, all the pulling down of the barriers that's happened over the last 100 years to move towards, away from nationalism and towards globalization, have been reversed in a single swoop, with very little of the population putting their hand up and saying, hey, we don't like this. Your personal safety has come first now above everything else within your living framework. The issue which drives us mad as human beings is that we are being forced to change. This is not optional. This is not something you put your hand up and say, hey, yeah, I'll do this. This is in fact compulsory. And we all know when you start telling a human being that something's compulsory, it's like herding cats. And quite simply, herding cats is difficult, and it never gives you quite the desired outcome. So what we're seeing is a huge impact on our physical body, on our mental clarity and stability, which is actually shaken right into the very core of all the things that we believe. But worse still, when we get chaos like this, it attacks our mindset. And the spiritual harmony or the balance we've adapted in our own lives no longer exists. And as we think, so we become. Or as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And as we've been robbed of our personal balance, and it doesn't matter what your job is, what your specialization is, what your expertise is, or lack thereof, there's nothing you can do to control even your own small field of specialization. And today what we're going to do is we're going to learn a process that can control the only thing which we actually can control in this situation, which is our mind. Before we can step into that process, we need to learn how to be still. And it's a forgotten skill, and it's probably the most misquoted verse in the old Bible, where the term is drawn from, and it was, "Be still and know that I'm God." And everybody would focus on the "know that I am God," and "I am God," and God, 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 and God, God, God. What they missed was the crux of the whole phrase, which is "be still." Because that's actually the verb. That's actually the thing you do. Now we're going to take the time to learn how to anchor our being, and with our anchor, we're going to slow down to a complete stop. Once we've done that, we're going to learn how to be still, and from a place of stillness, we're going to then look at how our awareness shifts. And in the midst of chaos, says Deepak Chopra, the only stillness you can hold is in that which is inside of you. At the end of today's session, nothing will change outside. People will still be in hospitals. People will still be in isolation. However, you'll experience security, calmness, and stillness. You'll notice a change in your heart rate and your breathing rate. Tonight, your sleep will be deeper and more relaxing. You'll know true control of your personal situation. However, in reality, nothing changes but you. And that's the first step of the 3 sessions towards mastery in this particular area. Now, what I'd like us all to do is this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen in a minute, and we're going to go through this process that's on your screen at the moment. And we're going to use 3 steps that anchor our mind. I'm going to take you through it piece by piece. You don't need to stress and say, "Hey, look, I've never done this before," or "I get distracted," or whatever. There'll be lots of excuses that come up automatically. However, what we are looking for is we're looking how to simply follow the process through it. And I'm going to take this and guide you through it. So what I'd like you to do first of all is stop. And every one of us has things which we need to do after this. What I'd like you to do is take the things that you need to do, and I want you to bring them to the front of your mind, and I want you to simply park them. Now, if you've got pen and paper there, it's actually a really good little trick to write them down. And I'll tell you what we're going to do with them. We're going to put them down there so that we can let them go out of our brain and say, "Do you know what? At the end of this session, I'm allowed to pick these things back up again and complete them. I'm allowed, or I know what I have to do next." So, what is it that you're going to do as soon as we finish here? As soon as we finish this session, what are you going to do? Write it down and let it go. Just leave it sitting there. We call this parking. It's like driving your car, putting it in a car park or a parking space at the front of the supermarket, and then letting it go. Doing your shopping, whatever. Your car's not going anywhere. It's parked. So whatever you need to do next is parked. Now what I want you to do is I want you to stop whatever you're doing. If the seat you're sitting on is uncomfortable, find one that's more comfortable. If you prefer to sit on the floor, sit on the floor. If you want to plonk yourself down on a couch, plonk yourself down on a couch. Whatever it takes for you to be able to stop completely. Stop all movement. So if you've got pens or you've got an itchy ear, scratch them, put them away, do whatever you need to do to stop everything. Allow yourself to become totally immobile, not moving at all. In a moment, we're going to take that a step further, and we're actually going to ask you to allow your eyes to gently close. So in step 2, after we've stopped, we're now going to learn what it means to be still. It's very hard to do this without resting your arms on something or even folding your hands in your lap. It's very hard to do this if you haven't first parked whatever is going on in your head. And you'll notice the moment I said be still, your brain started throwing up things that want your attention. Don't pay any attention to them. Instead, turn your attention inwards. So if you imagine this with your eyes gently closed, your breathing soft and relaxed, imagine that you are looking into the space between your eyes and above your nose. In yogi terms, it's what they call the third eye. In my terms, I call it the black hole because it's like a vortex that sucks your attention into it. Allow your attention to drift into your third eye, and whatever your brain is throwing up, just let it go. Let it be sucked away. And if you're breathing through your mouth, close your mouth gently and just allow your breath only to pass in and out of your nose. Whatever is demanding your attention, simply let it go. Remain still and immobile. Hear the sound of your own breath as we start to become aware of our subconscious. Notice the air moving in and out, gently brushing your top lip. Notice how the air leaving your body is warm, and the air that you draw in is slightly cooler. And what we're going to do now is we're going to drop an anchor, and we're going to allow it to go deep into the center of our third eye. We're going to allow it to be sucked out in there. So I want you to imagine the anchor that we saw on the screen before. And on your in-breath, I want you to draw it in, and on your out-breath, I want you to let it go into that third eye. And again, draw it in. And imagine the chain actually sliding through your hands as it runs out into the depths. Draw it in and let it run out still further. As you breathe in deeply, Let it run out through your fingers. I want you to keep focusing on the anchor chain as the anchor runs away into the depths. Breathe in deeply. Hold your breath for a moment. And then breathe out and let that chain run out further. On your next breath, imagine yourself gently pulling on the anchor chain. And just notice that the anchor is fixed. It doesn't move. It's immobile. Breathe in again. Put pressure on the anchor chain and notice it doesn't move. The anchor is fixed. The point of your pivot is firm and it is strong. And what I want you to do is concentrate on your breathing. Breathe in and breathe out. Focusing only on the anchor. Deeply breathing, slowly breathing. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave you in your space and stop disrupting you for a few minutes. So allow yourself to concentrate only on your breathing and focus on the anchor. And I'll come back to you in a couple of minutes. Now, just a quick check-in. We'll just share this. What happened to your heart rate in that session? Michael?
It slowed down.
Clara, can you describe your breathing?
It wasn't the I noticed my breathing did slow down. For some reason I wasn't able to force my diaphragm down as much as I usually like. I was aware of that.
Right.
Yeah. And
sorry,
and then at some point it just didn't. And then at some point it just didn't annoy me.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bo, what did you notice about the immediate future or your feelings towards it?
More dissociated, and my breath is more at an even pace.
Right. Okay. Michael, what word or phrase would you use to describe your feeling or emotion right now?
Calm.
Okay. Clara?
I have experienced this sort of feeling before. I might tell you about it later. But it does feel dissociative in a good way.
Right. Okay. Yep. Bo?
What was the question?
Phrase. What word or phrase to describe feeling or emotion right now? How are you
Relax.
feeling? Relax?
Relax.
Cool. In either a single word or a short phrase, what's the greatest learning from this very first session? Remembering we are focusing on pivoting fast. In other words, changing direction big time in a short process. And the first thing we've done today is fixing an anchor, becoming aware. What's the greatest learning from this first session? Michael?
Coming from a place of stillness, when we change whatever path we go down.
Okay, good. Michael? Bo?
Choice state. Possible even when all the things are going on.
Okay, Clara?
So last week I was actually talking with a friend about meditation, and so for me it's a little bit more practice. Today I did actually feel that kind of like, once again, it is that dissociation where you feel like you're about 20 centimeters in front of the body. And just practicing that awareness, because my brain didn't stop thinking. I was, in a way, I was kind of labeling those things in order to be able to let them go. Okay.
Because you'll find that'll change over time. It's one of those things that, and Bo could tell you, Bo and I have been working on this type of practice probably for 3 years. And look, it hasn't been smooth sailing, but by God, have we come a long distance. I would hate to put a number on how far we've travelled to get to where we are today, in terms of him being able to disassociate, to look at this and say, hey, this is useful for me, and so on. Okay, does anybody have any questions?
No.
Cool. I'd like you just to notice for me, I'll ask you this question: what's your sleep like, and what happens tomorrow in response to you having a stronger anchor within yourself? So, same time, same place tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you. My gut tells me that it'll be the same Zoom meeting number. If you can't find it, simply click on the Google invite and it's buried within there. And you should be able to click it and go straight through. If anybody wants to talk further, we'll flip over to either Telegram or WhatsApp, and just let me know that if that's what you want to do. All right, so good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night and be aware, be aware, be aware. Smile often.
Thank you.
Catch you later. See you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Ciao.